Steph. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, happy to have you here. Today I'm going to be talking about Jane Austen film adaptations and see how many you have seen. So background scoop for this video, I have seen several Austen film adaptations and there are so many more that I know I haven't seen, but when I looked online to find a list that was like conclusive and just included every possible Jane Austen adaptation, I did not find one. I kept finding ones with small portions of Austen film adaptations, or click here and click there to find more and more. So I figured I would make this video to compile them all into one list. Let's see how many you have seen. So in the comments after you get through this video, let me know how many of these you have seen and which one is your favorite. Alright, here we go. We're going to start in chronological order, starting off with the earliest Jane Austen film adaptation. This is going back to 1940. This is Pride and Prejudice, an iconic Jane Austen work, arguably her most famous. This is just an iconic piece of literature, so therefore it doesn't surprise us that it is the first film adaptation. Following this film, we don't see another movie from a Jane Austen book in many, many years. We skip up to 1971, where we have two Jane Austen films. As this timeline gets closer to the present, we're going to see a lot more Austen adaptations because there are quite a few. 1971, we have Sense and Sensibility and Persuasion. In 1972, we have an adaptation of Emma. In 1980, we have the BBC adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, not to be confused with the Colin Firth version. In 1981, we have Sense and Sensibility. This is, again, kind of an education for me how many 70s and 80s Jane Austen adaptations there are that I haven't seen. So it's kind of interesting for me as well just to see kind of what's out there and to see what is still there to explore and discover. There is a 1983 adaptation of Mansfield Park. So this is the first Mansfield Park film adaptation we will see on this list. Then we're going to move up from 1983 to 1986. This is the first Northanger Abbey film adaptation. This was done by the BBC, and this is another one, the first one of its book, and something exciting to add to this list. So we jump from 1986 to 1995, and we have a whole bunch of Jane Austen film adaptations and retellings. Starting off with Sense and Sensibility. This is a darling cast that is just so good. I feel like it's one of the more popular Jane Austen film adaptations, and so great. Then we have Persuasion. One of my friends is in love with all things Persuasion, and she insists that this is the best film adaptation there is out there, not counting the one that was just recently announced. So we'll see where that one goes and how that stands once that comes out. Followed by Clueless. This is an Emma adaptation, or retelling I should say, in a contemporary setting of the classic Emma story. Then last but not least, the infamous Pride and Prejudice miniseries with Colin Firth that takes place over 6 episodes and is one of the most iconic Jane Austen films of all time. Next up, we have 1996. There are 2 adaptations of Emma. One was a motion picture film with Gwyneth Paltrow, and the other one was a BBC adaptation with, oh my gosh, I can picture her. What is her name? Hang on, I have it. Kate Beckinsale. So that's another option. Why there are 2 adaptations of Emma in the same year, I have no idea. But they are different. Usually the BBC versions go into a lot more detail than the films do because of the time difference. Next we go from 1996 to 1999 with Mansfield Park. This next film is from 2000, and this is called I Have Found It. This is a Bollywood production of Sense and Sensibility. There's another Bollywood video on this list that's really excellent, so it makes me want to see this one even more. Fast forward 1 year to 2001, and we have Bridget Jones' Diary. This is based off a book by the same name, but of course is inspired by Austen. Is an Austen retelling in a contemporary setting. I don't know if it's a direct correlation to Pride and Prejudice, but I know that there's some of the themes are similar. And isn't the main guy's name Darcy? I don't know if it's his first name or his last name. So there are connections between this and Pride and Prejudice. 2 years later, to 2003, you have another retelling of Pride and Prejudice. This is called Pride and Prejudice, a Latter-day Saints comedy. There's so many different imaginative retellings of this story. Then fast forward to 2005. Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley. I'm not biased at all. It's just fantastic. Also in 2005 is another Bollywood production. This is based off of Pride and Prejudice, a retelling of that story. This is called Pride and Prejudice. And let me tell you, the music and the dancing and the characters are so fun. My friend introduced this to me and I'm so glad she did because it's so good. Definitely check this out if you're interested. 2006, this is a modern retelling of Sense and Sensibility called Material Girls, starring Hailey and Hilary Duff. It's interesting that these sisters in real life get to play sisters on camera in this movie. You can imagine from the title and the book that it's based off of that these girls are going to have to adjust to having a much different level of income and seeing how that influences their life. 2007, the year on this list that has the most film adaptations, either directly inspired by Jane Austen's books or retellings in a different time period. So here we go. Starting off, in no particular order, we have the 2007 Persuasion. This is slightly less true to the book than the earlier adaptation of Persuasion. Next up, we have the 2007 Northanger Abbey. This has Felicity Jones and J.J. Field. Then we have Mansfield Park. I always think of her as the girl from Doctor Who, but I know she's in other stuff. This also features Agent Carter from the Captain America movies and the Marvel franchise as Mary Crawford. So those are the two that stick out to me from this that I remember off the top of my head. Next up we have Becoming Jane, which my roommate introduced me to in college and then left me alone to watch the very sad ending. Becoming Jane, this is about Jane Austen's life and what her whirlwind romance was like as a young woman and how that shaped her life and her career as a writer. Next up we have Miss Austen Regrets. So this is not one that I've seen. I believe it's a BBC adaptation and it's a mini-series. It has a few episodes. So this is something that inspired by the author and her life instead of her writings. Next up we have the Jane Austen Book Club. This is the last of the films in 2007 that had to do with Jane Austen, but this specifically looks at a book club that decides to read all 6 of Jane Austen's novels in the span of however many months. I want to say a year, and then they talk about each of them as they're going through different things in their own life that reflect the events of the book. In 2008, there was a production of Sense and Sensibility. This BBC version of Sense and Sensibility is 3 episodes, and this also features Dan Stevens. The second film for 2008 is called Lost in Austen. This is not something I'm familiar with, but I know it is based off of Austen's works. In 2009, we have a BBC adaptation of Emma. This is a very playful, fun, silly Emma, and a very energetic, enthusiastic retelling of this story. It goes into a lot of great details. In 2010, the following year, we have Aisha, which is an adaptation of Emma in a contemporary setting. From Prada to Nada, Sense and Sensibility adaptation. In 2011, we have Sense and Sensibility. Not sense as in common sense, but sense as in sniff sniff. I believe this is about like a candle shop or a candle maker and something to do with scented candles. Moving on to 2013, we have Austenland. This is based off of the book by Shannon Hale. This is a retelling, not really retelling. This is a story that takes place in this fictional vacation spot where you can have a getaway and immerse yourself completely in Jane Austen's world, the setting, the costumes, the time period, the manners, and they interact with actors for a week to kind of live the Jane Austen lifestyle. And then of course challenges ensue. Things get blurred between fiction and reality. So seeing how our main heroine has to deal with the difference between historical make-believe time and then real life. A great book and a great movie if you've not checked out either. Also in 2013 is Death Comes to Pemberley. This is based off of a novel by the same title, and it is set 6 years after Pride and Prejudice takes place. We get to see what Elizabeth and Jane and all the Bennets are up to 6 years after the events of the book by Jane Austen, and kind of imagine what their families are like, what their homes are like, and what their relationships are like as they've matured a little bit. Basically like Agatha Christie meets Jane Austen kind of story. This is 3 episodes in this miniseries, and each of them are about an hour each. So that wraps up 2013. Then we're going to fast forward to 2016. We have 1, 2, 3. First up, we have Love and Friendship, based on the book Lady Susan. I want to say Love and Friendship was an alternate title for the book. That's why the movie is called this. But I digress. Love and Friendship, starring Kate Beckinsale, is the story of Lady Susan and this very controlling mother who is a new widow, and what she does to maintain her place in society as a woman in England. Another 2016 film adaptation, we have Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. This is based on a book by the same title, which is a retelling of Jane Austen's book, but includes zombies, as you probably guessed. This movie stars Lily James and is like a Walking Dead meets Jane Austen premises, basically. Last but not least, 2016, we have Unleashing Mr. Darcy. I believe this was made for Hallmark. This is loosely based off of Pride and Prejudice. Also takes place around a dog show and training and breeding dogs. Pride and Prejudice meets contemporary setting meets dog shows and dog lovers. So if you are a dog fan, you're just gonna look at all these teeny dogs and be like, oh, how cute! At least that's what I did. Next up, 2018, we have Emma the Musical. This is a musical retelling of the classic book. This is something that I'm really intrigued by and want to check out. 2019, we have Sanditon, the unfinished work of Jane Austen, the novel she was working on at the time of her death. Because the book was not finished, the TV show can do whatever it wants because Jane Austen didn't complete it. This has had some discrepancy because many people were unhappy with the end of season 1, and many people are kind of like calling for a season 2 when it was kind of announced the show was going to be done. So we'll see. Now it seems like it's up in the air whether or not season 2 is going to happen. But for now, season 1 was released in 2019, so that qualifies from this list. Last but not least, we have 2020. So 2020 has been a year, a heck of a year for all of us, I know. But we've had 2 Jane Austen adaptations to brighten this year and all the challenges that have come our way this year. First up, we have Pride and Prejudice the Musical, which is a film of stage production. They've got the full period costumes, makeup, hairstyles, and wigs. Heard really, really great things about this, so I'm interested to check this out and see, kind of get to know it better and see what it's all about. Then we have the 2020 film of Emma. There's Anya Taylor-Joy playing the leading role. This seems to be one of the most popular films to remake. Emma has a lot of film adaptations, also Pride and Prejudice, of course, shortly followed by Sensibility. There are a total of 42 videos on this list. Let me know in the comments which is your favorite and how many you have seen, because I'm interested to hear what everybody has to say. I find a great way to explore these films is to borrow them from my library and see which ones I like best to kind of compare them, but you can also stream these or find them online. So that wraps up this list of Jane Austen film adaptations. I went through several sites to kind of find this list and to compile everything, but if there are any that I forgot, definitely let me know in the comments. I hope that you really liked watching this video. I had a lot of fun putting this together and sharing this with you, so I hope that you enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.